Watch this. No way!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cookie Jar Golf Podcast. I am Tom Mills, and for a change, I'm joined by Sam Williams.
Gentlemen, good evening.
And Bruce Fitzpatrick.
Hello.
The crew back together.
What a great few days,
hasn't it?
Has been a good few days, and it has been a while. Doesn't seem like we've been together chatting in this format for a little while, but we have been together in the last few days. We've been at our Christmas party and the annual trip to Rye, which was a very special few days. How are the heads?
I don't think we really hung out, was the weird thing. So we were all three of us in the same room for the vast majority of 2 days. And I don't seem to remember many times where the three of us were collectively interacting.
Yeah,
Urban golf's just a bit of a lair, isn't it? You know, you can kind of get lost in there and amongst all of the sort of frivolities and ball striking and club tinkering and club gazing. It's all, it was all very exciting.
Why don't you give us a top level rundown of what's been going on, Samuel?
Well, we had our Christmas party, didn't we? We had
Which
it
was
last
advertised
year,
to all, wasn't it? It was open,
absolutely
and advertised to all.
And like every time we do an event, I come away thinking, God, we could do events like almost every week. Like these are so good. Like this is the highlight. So we had about 70 or 80 people down at Urban Golf. We did it last year, but we didn't really give any thought, if I'm honest, to the competitive element to it. So this time, it's one club competition, which he was billing as the Crump Cup of British indoor golf. So we decided to lay that on, which was brilliant. We'll talk about it, but it was great sort of getting everyone down. And if I'm honest, I was a little bit nervous. I thought we got the train strikes in London. It was incredibly cold. It's also pretty much like Christmas party season for seemingly anyone who has a job, which is, plenty of reasons why people wouldn't come. And it was an unbelievable turnout. So it was really nice. And do you know what? Urban Golf's just a really good venue, isn't it, in London?
Yeah.
It's really cool. I've been there quite a few times now. It's so good. It was tip top. And actually the competition worked really well. The whole thing was first class, really.
Yeah, we say it all the time, don't we? But I think the most rewarding and fulfilling parts of doing Cookie Jar is kind of seeing the people that you bring together and that you interact with quite often via email or via Instagram and other forms of social media, and to get everyone together, a bunch of golf sickos or golfing perverts, as you like to call them, Sam, get them all together in one room and just, shooting the pill into the simulator is quite good fun, really, isn't it? Especially in that kind of like artistic form of golf as well. There's no bomb and gouge there.
Yeah, I think the simulator golf, if I'm honest, is not a draw for me. I don't know about you guys. It doesn't.
Hot take.
But you do a bit of it, don't you, Tom? Bruce, much simulator golf? I don't know.
It's not as good as the real thing. I think that's
no, but like I've never really done it, and
yeah.
I always feel like it's completely abstract. Like you just literally take a run at the ball, smash it into the net as hard as you can. Where it finishes has little to no correlation with the shot that it shows on screen. And I don't know. There's
not massive advert for Urban Golf then.
Well, no, this is where I'm going with it. It gets there. The premise behind the event is we put this one club event on, which was a knockout, around the old course, loads of shots, different variety, lots of different stuff to play, with the intent that you could show that the sim is very flexible and produces shots that pretty much stack up with how they would be in real life. I actually quite enjoyed it. I thought the shots did. I thought the sims they've got there are brilliant. When I was trying to hit a sort of a 120-yard sort of cutty 50% six iron or whatever, where it went was kind of where I would have thought it would have gone off the face. I know it's no perfect science, but I was like, actually, it bears a fairly reasonable resemblance to this.
Yeah, I mean, simulator golf's come on leaps and bounds generally. You see so many facilities now popping up in cities all over the world. And clearly attractive for working professionals in a city that want to try and work on their game, but also socially. I mean, it brings together so many people. Like, you can't deny that getting together 60, 70 people the tech itself is so good that you feel like the shots you're hitting are pretty bang on in terms of how they're displayed and what the outcomes you're seeing on the screen.
It's kind of, you can see how the tech has evolved and how the places have evolved. So going from what must have been, when the tech emerged, like a purist thing. We talked about this last week, how it must have been for the purists, and now you go down there and it's just a bar, and you got the wings, and you got the food and the drinks, and it's all very social now. But it's interesting because I was using some very stiff Mura, which I just could not keep on the planet. I thought the sim must have been, I thought the sim was bogus because it couldn't have been me. I was just like absolutely striping this thing, and I could not keep it. I don't know is there some science behind something why you keep going right? I was just going dead right, literally just dead
it's
right.
just it's what's called too much shaft for you, mate. So I don't actually know if the sim was inaccurate there. I think you're just not swinging the thing quick enough and stressing the shaft. So it sounds like it was pretty bang on accurate actually to me.
No, I don't think so.
Using a Torex.
Yeah, funny enough though, Tom, when you funny enough when you were put into a sort of lady soft flex, all of a sudden you started hitting it darts straight down the middle. And,
No. It couldn't have been me. I know
the best part.
I know my numbers.
The best part to be the end of the night, Bruce, when Tom's got this Torex shaft in I didn't know it at the time, but it was like a bladed sort of 1980s one iron.
Oh yeah,
I was watching Tom work on his swing. He's doing all the sort of posturing with it, moving around it, and I'm watching him thrash away on this thing, and it's not getting above like ankle height.
Give me some credit. Give me some credit.
I shouted across to you. No,
I was getting it quite high, but Sam's giving me this. Mate, you're just doing it all wrong. Like, you don't know how to hit
what are you
6-iron.
doing? And he's like, well, do you want to have a go? And I was like, yeah, I'll show you how to do it. And I was like, oh, it's a 1-iron. Now I see what we're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it was great. Who's going to fill us in on the format? Because we managed to essentially replicate a mid-amateur format almost within here, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's good fun. Sign up in advance. And actually a few people who came along that was the best endorsement of it all. A few people who came along just intending to stay for a couple of beers and then head off, ended up then signing up on the spot for the Speed Knockout, aka the Crump Cup of indoor golf. So we had a pre-qualifier. The first 3 holes on the old course at St Andrews, you had to pick one club and then play those 3 holes. And essentially the top 8 qualifiers progress to match play, and it's quite difficult really because a lot of people, the consensus was going for like a 6-iron, 5 or a 6-iron, and I don't know if you guys sort of found this to be the case. Well, no, actually, I know what you did, Sam, because I played with you. We were in the group, and you obviously there's a bit of adrenaline pumping because you've got 30, 40 plus people watching you possibly, and I remember just stepping up thinking, right, I'm just going to try and hit this thing out the middle of the club, and first hole of the old course, like the fairway's 200 yards wide. It should be okay. Like hit it out there. It should fade. It should fade.
Hopefully it should fade.
Yeah, made quite nice contact, hit this thing down there, kind of trundled along downwind, and all of a sudden I've got like 130 yards in for my second shot over a burn off a sort of tight lie. Not that the lie, I guess, is you can read
still
too much
tight
into
on
it,
the mats.
yeah, it's still tight on the mat, isn't it? And then you're thinking, okay, this is. I've really not thought this through. I should have just tried to nerdle one down there and leave myself a full shot in. And that, that strategic element's there straight away. Obviously, the greens are massive on the old course, so if you can get through those first 3 holes and just try and control your distance well enough, they're fairly generous holes. And I think if I'm right in thinking the leading score by Rob McGirt was 1 under par.
Yeah.
Which
was bearing in mind he's just got his amateur status back. I googled it last night. He would have been, if he was in a straight duck shoot with Cameron Smith in the final round of the Open this year, he would have been stood on the 4th tee with the lead in hand. That was a ballsy start with 1 club in his hand. He's just got his bloody amateur status back. I mean, it's incredible. But I mean, there was a big difference in the scores. I didn't see, there wasn't loads and loads, crazy low scores, but you needed quite a good number to qualify. I played, you're a fan of the tack fat, aren't you, Bruce?
Oh my word! Yeah, you wouldn't have got away with those, I don't think, on proper turf. Those mats at Urban Golf they're very, very good mats. But yeah, the first couple you hit were as fat as a badger's arse, and you managed to hop the
birded
thing
the first.
over the burn on the, like he stepped up and just gotten so late on this first one. Or no, not late actually, the opposite of late. He's gotten so early on the first one that this 6-iron's just sort of been trundled down there. And then you've just tried to nail the next one out your boots, and it's like, 2 bounces and hop the burn. Then you rolled one in from like 50 feet, one under par through one. I'm thinking, what on earth is going on here?
How did you fare, Tom?
It's one club, 6-iron. First three holes of the old course, like it's been said. So I took a 6. It was just fairly standard stuff, Missed the green. Didn't get up and down. Pretty much the story of my golf in how it went. So I usually up there or thereabouts with after 2 shots, and then didn't get up and down. So it was just a flat out 3 over through 3 holes. Not going to get it done. Exactly the same score as Bruce Fitzpatrick, even though when Bruce missed the cut, God, there was like a public inquiry in front of the whole crowd.
They were checking the kit was working. Yeah, I know.
Look, the simulators at Urban Golf are fantastic, best in the business. But I did have a putt on the third that was misread. It didn't read the first one. Obviously, easy to do in simulator golf, I should add. You're trying to blade this 6-iron, and from where the camera's reading it, it's quite easy for the club head to sort of cover the ball a little bit. With a camera sensor, it's quite easy for it to cover the ball, so it can't sense the ball speed, and therefore it just sort of holds fire and doesn't read the shot, which is fair enough. That just spooked me a little bit. And the next putt from sort of 15 feet. Well, no, it's true. The next putt from 15 feet, I then drilled it 80 feet past. So,
spooked me.
Yeah, it just spooked me.
Can we talk about the knockouts? So then the medicine
before we get there.
Before
we get there. So this is we managed to rifle through the best part of 40 odd entrants, 45. I think a huge thing should be said for there were quite a few people turned up. I'd say nearly 50% of people that were there were just there to watch and booze. They were like, no, I'm not interested in competitive golf. Just want to drink and watch. And
there's a great crew of people.
And there was a great crowd of people. And then while this is going on, you've got Dan Davis, again, former podcast, journalist extraordinaire, who had a little PA system set up and was commentating over the whole thing. So we had live commentator and some kind of guest commentators dropping in and out of the booth. So it's all kind of ramped up, and then you've got Rob McGurk shot. What's that?
Dan was just on Dan. He was
just brilliant
because as people were playing, I mean, when you say commentating, it wasn't really like, oh, here goes Sam. Oh, he's blocked one. It was like he'd be sat there going, oh, I've just had a lovely text here from Simon LeBon. Sends his apologies for not being here this evening. Simon's a cracking golfer, by the way, guys. He plays off 14 handicap at Surbiton. And it was all these obscure people that was just either sent their apologies in, or it was just fictional tales. It was so good. He was first class on the mic.
He was very, very good, wasn't he? And we managed to get it down to 8. So we get through the stroke play. And I think, controversially, Rob McGurk, who has come in at 1 under and the only person to a broken par, then just sort of bows out. Just that, he had a train to get at 10:30, and he said, "I'm not going to make it through to the final. I haven't got the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch." And him and Ali, his lovely wife, just sat there and drank and watched. Unbelievable scenes.
Bunker with that little workshop. Like, there was so many people having a tour in that. I mean, anyone who goes to Urban Golf in London has to see the workshop. It is, I know we've talked about it a couple of times now, but it is just superb in there, isn't it?
And quite tidy, Reece. As of late, it's pretty tidy. James has really got it in order. When I went there in August time, it was like someone had just, the bomb had gone off, and for some unknown reason, the bomb had gone off and just exploded. Retro, vintage blade irons, 1-irons, hickories, fantastic drivers from the sort of 2005, 2007 vintage, just all over the place, grip, shaft, all of it, and you couldn't really wade through it all. Whereas now it's been very neatly ordered by James. He's finally decided to get it all neatly aligned, and it's just, you can spend hours in there, can't you? You talk about the great rooms in golf, Sam, and I know you're very keen, for example, on snooker rooms in clubhouses.
Or billiard room,
the archive room at Nairn.
The workshop / bunker at Urban Golf is right up there with great rooms in golf. I think that combination of that sort of curved screen and all the little gadgets that that James has got there for club fitting and also just hitting shots on the simulator, coupled with his workshop. It's just, it's pretty great.
Here's a question for you. I'm not saying you're going to do it, because maybe we could do a little piece on this, but what would be harder to pick for both of you guys? Your top 5 golf courses or your top 5 rooms in golf?
I think it'd be hard to do golf courses because there are a plethora of fantastic golf courses, and the things that differ with these golf courses are nuanced. I don't think we've got the abundance of good rooms. Like, there are some really, really good rooms. And if you ask me to differentiate some of those outstanding rooms, like I said before, like the archive room at Nairn.
Yeah, this is a pod. Wow. I mean, I don't think we've ever come up with an idea for a podcast whilst on a live podcast. This might actually be.
Are you going to commit to this one? Are we going to commit to doing it? I think we should.
Yeah, the best rooms in golf. And obviously anyone listening is welcome to send in some pre-pod suggestions. Would be, very much appreciated.
We can debate them live on air.
Anyway, we digress. James's room, James's bunker at Urban Golf.
Yeah.
Well worth a visit. Fantastic place to host exclusively the knockout stages of the Crumb Cup of indoor golf, wasn't it? So we had qualifying on the 3 sims, which James kindly sort of rented out or booked out for us, I should say, at Urban, and then
a significant cost as well to himself.
Yeah, it's bouncing in there, isn't it? Big place, and Christmas parties. I mean, the number of Big 4 consultancy, accountancy practices, law firms. I mean, it's surprising, actually.
So just to put some colour on this, I mean, for those people who don't know, our Christmas party is free of charge, and people can come and play and drink and do whatever they like. And a huge thank you to James and Urban, for letting us do it there. And like you say, he laid out a significant cost for us to be able to do that. So huge thank you to James. I think at this point as well, by the way, we should also give thanks to the guy running around like a blue-ass fly.
No, I'm not taking any more praise, guys. Honestly, it's not while I'm on pod. I'm blushing.
Big thank you to Sam Clapham, who's our first employee that ran around and made sure everyone was there, sorted things out, and made sure
he did a great job
smoothly.
That took a bit of logistics, actually, and it's the great thing about the events is that you're hanging out and chatting to people, but then if you've actually got any level of admin to do, like, you're toast. Like, you're going to do a bad job at both. So he was all over that stuff, and it ran great.
He was the jar point man, wasn't he? While you were swanning around on a late train down from Warwick's.
Yeah.
Bolding. Hello, chaps. Good to see you.
Can you believe they only do 1 train an hour from Warwick Parkway to London? To anyone in America, just to give you some context, Warwick Parkway is probably no more than 80 miles outside London. It's a proper commuter belt little train from anyone outside the immediate catchment of London. Like, you'd go to Warwick Parkway.
It's on the main line to Birmingham. Like, if you want to get from Birmingham to London, you've got to go through Warwick.
Anyway, disaster. But spoiler alert: James did go on to win the knockout, which I suppose we thank him for his hospitality and for the use of the Sims. Can you win your own golf tournament? I think there's a massive question mark on that. Although the jar has got bad form for this.
Did me on that though, didn't I? I actually took the knee and got demoted down to 3rd, which
well, absolutely in the prizes, yeah,
in the prizes of it. So look, there's a risk there.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think from James is a purist, isn't he? And I can sympathise with it. If he can't chuck it, can you? He could have got to the final and chucked it, but it's just absolutely not the thing he's going to do. And I sort of take my hat off to him. I kind of understand that's not going to that's not something as a purist he can live with. But nevertheless, when you've got such a unique format that you're so well versed in that he's no doubt had a lot of practice on, we're going to have to open an ethics committee inquiry, I think, into the validity of this victory, because there's a few searching questions to be asked.
I nearly had him in the quarters as well, but let's not dwell on it. It was a great evening, an absolute joy. And then, of course, we travelled down and played a bit of golf down at Rye. Very much.
Sorry, we've just glossed over that a little bit. Do you want to circle back, because we didn't actually cover the format of the sort of.
Oh yeah, we should 100%.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned you have him there before you just sort of then skip the right the way through and just sort of gloss over the fact that you didn't quite manage to have him after all. But those who weren't there, it was your benefit. Obviously, the pre-qual was 3 holes stroke play, first 3 holes of the old with one club. The quarterfinal was then the next 4 holes of the old course with one club, just straight up match play. The semi, was that 5 holes? I mean, memory's getting a little bit hazy at this point.
5 holes and then 6 holes, yeah.
And then the final was 6 holes.
Which is obviously through the iconic stretch there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it really had a kind of crescendo there to the finale.
Like
and a lot of people watching it by that.
Well, I think we should probably publish that match report I played around with last night, because I thought it would be funny to write a little match report. And the final looked like we weren't going to see the 17th tee, if I'm honest. James found a 2-hole sort of lead going, and he looked in good shape down 16, didn't he? With a 2-hole sort of lead going down there. I can't really remember whether there was some sort of rules debacle or something to do with the Sims or something, but he ended up conceding 16. And then James hit the purest of shanks on 17, which I think
proper socket job, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Took a few windows out on the jigger. So it was actually a great finish. Great finish to the event.
Yeah, and then Sam Cooper, who was the opposing finalist, losing finalist there, he had played very nicely right the way through, actually. Unsurprisingly, going and playing every single links course in Britain over the last 18 months, 2 years, actually stood him in quite good stead for shot making and hitting a few different types of shots. So he was very well poised. And I think he sort of left James a little bit behind him, hit a big drive down there, a big 6-iron down there. And then, trap of too much, just tried to sort of dink this 6-iron low along the ground from 100 yards or whatever it was, and 5 shots later, I don't think he was at the green yet, was he? But
crazy stuff.
Artists,
great evening, though.
Yeah, it was good fun.
So obviously the next stage is head down to Rye, which is an absolute treat to be able to do. We've got to talk about that ride in. First time getting properly interviewed by accredited media.
So yeah, it was quite the thing, wasn't it, to be interviewed? I mean, we're all nursing considerable hangovers getting to the train at 8:30 at King's Cross. And by the way, I might add, I might have talked about this last year, but the difference between King's Cross and St Pancras is that's not a real thing for me. So when they say you're in a wrong train station, that really got me in a bit of a twizz. But they're just across the road from each other, and to get on the train and get interviewed, and then with a little bit of a sore head to see Sam just kick into performance mode. Right, guys, I'm here. Yeah, cookie jar. So this is how I started it, and just go from there.
Yeah, felt right that I did at least 75% of the talking. So, Bruce, what were we being interviewed for?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you caught me on the back foot a little bit there. I didn't know we were going to go public with this so sort of early in the process.
I don't know. It's quite cool, like, wasn't it?
I think it's cool.
Great.
I'm more of a fan of the sort of soft opening, really. But
okay, no, we should leave it then. We should
probably leave it. Yeah, should probably just leave it. We've really, really whet the appetite there, I think. Yeah, more to come on that front in the coming weeks and months. Moving swiftly on, though. So that train journey, went quite quickly actually after all that. Once you sort of cast that interview to one side, there wasn't much else that was said really. But train from St Pancras to Ashford, and then a little 20-minute stop over at Ashford, and then catching the train from there down to Rye, which I must admit, I mean, spirits weren't all that high.
Not as high as last year.
Just purely because, I mean, we'd had a great night the night before, but this cold snap, which as of the 13th of December, we're very much in the midst of it, that was really starting to come in on Thursday night, Friday morning. And on the train down, and particularly on that changeover at Ashford, it was like really starting to bite that cold air. And we were just looking at sort of frosty frozen field upon frosty frozen field as we got further and further south. just looking at it, thinking there was not, a ray of sunshine literally in sight, and the prospect of playing golf was pretty bleak. I mean, it looked like we'd gone a long way for a really nice lunch of fish and chips in the Rye lunch table. So
that was the best comment. It's a long way to come for fish and chips. This box.
I mean, they had excellent fish and chips. I thoroughly recommend lunch at Rye on a Friday. But it is a very long way to go in jacket and tie just to have lunch.
And what was amazing was when you get there, there's about 14 of us, and then I think the club were playing Porthcawl or something. So there was there's at least another 24 guys or so there. And it's like you've got no chance of playing golf. All you can do is hang around until lunch. And then I think Jamie went out and did a pitch inspection about 11ish, didn't he? And said, yeah, this is good to go after lunch. You got no problems. It just about thawed. But when you've got a room, you talk about again about the great rooms, the atmosphere in that room, like the game had never been more alive than it had that morning amongst about 30 or 40 people who couldn't get near the golf course and did nothing but just mingle, have a few drinks together, meet a few people. It was a really nice little atmosphere, actually, wasn't it? It was a really, really cool little vibe.
Spoiler alert, that's in one of my great rooms in golf. The bar there at Rye.
Is that because your ball's hanging on the side?
No, for exactly the reasons we're going to walk straight past that. I'm not going to be engaged. No, for the reasons you've just outlined there, beautifully, Sam. Just having like 30 plus people just in that room, all kind of chatting to one another, mingling and having a couple of drinks, looking out on a very beautiful scene, looking at the sort of frost on the links at Rye, not looking like we were really going to play. But as you said, I mean, it got to 11 o'clock, and in the space of like 20 minutes, it just seemed to completely disappear, that frost. And then the sun started to sort of break through a little bit later, and it was like, oh wow, okay, we actually need to go and play golf. Let's go and have a bit of lunch and then get booted to go out and play.
I think when it's like 9:30 and you're in the Rye clubhouse and you're in jacket and tie with a Guinness in your hand, and there's like port and brandies going on, and you're kind of staring out the window into a frosty course that looks like it's never going to thaw. It's almost like staring into the abyss. You kind of ask yourself these questions: am I going to survive the next 8 to 10 hours? Am I capable of doing this?
Yeah, we didn't know where the day was going to end up.
I think luckily
really
for me, when that thawed and we were able to get out there, I didn't have to face my demons. I could just go and at least have 2 or 3 hours break.
But I think that's part of it as well. Obviously it's a decent journey to get there, but looking out at a course that is such great fun and so brilliant to play, it's kind of all the more difficult to accept that you might not actually be able to get out and play golf. But alas, that was an eventuality we didn't have to deal with, because we had a fantastic lunch, didn't we? Nice long table that was kindly sort of arranged for us by the club in the dining room, and then 14 of us. So obviously, only 2 ball golf at Rye. 14 of us at lunch and going out to play, and I think obviously it goes without saying, when there's 14 of you, you need to play a single at the back, and I don't think there's ever a sort of sure sign that you're in great company when no one wants to put themselves forward to play that singles match at the back. No. Everyone wanted to settle some sort of foursomes grudge match in one form or another, which was just a great sign of like a really healthy, fun group that just love the game.
Great. We chose 2 captains, and it was kind of like schoolyard games again, wasn't it? Point at someone and pick who's on your team. So it's always good fun to know that you could be that guy that's last pointed at.
I was reassured that I was in Bruce's top 6 picks for his side, which I thought was just brilliant to know. It's just beautiful. But look, we've indulged it. I think it was, it is another great day, wasn't it? I got to circle back on these events and stuff. I think, we're finishing 2022 now, and we've done the spring meeting and the Christmas party, and if I'm honest, it just gets away from you, doesn't it? Trying to get these things set up. Yeah. But I feel totally committed to making more events happen next year. Even the little small ones, even if there's more 12 and 14 man events at, a place like a small meetup, maybe they don't all need to be super grand 70 people jobs, because they take a shitload of logistics. And, how we do that and how we build that into the plans for next year, I think we need to figure out. They're popular, they're great events to come to. So I think we need to do some thinking pretty quickly and over Christmas about how we bring that to life a little bit.
Yeah, it was unanimous, really, wasn't it? When we kind of came away from those 2 days, just think hear it so often, but the people that you meet in golf are just like the best people, and there's so many brilliant kindred spirits out there. So if we can do a few more events next year to try and bring those people together, then we're going to have a bloody great time doing it.
Spoiler alert, there is something in the pipeline for the early part of next year. Definitely something in Q1, probably something looking around halfway through the year as well. So please do keep your eyes peeled for when that gets announced, because this one's going to be a goodie. We're very excited about this one.
You're not going to believe what comes next.
I think it's looking like a hot
We need to do a
start
thing on
next year.
clickbait. So, my wife Sarah, she saw something the other day that she sent me. There was a picture of a dog and said the dog wouldn't give birth, and when the vet saw the X-ray, he called the police. I was like, most outrageous clickbait thing. We should do a whole thing on clickbait, I think, actually, while we're at it. But no, you will not believe what's coming up.
So I've got to tell you this, boys. I haven't told you, actually. So I was on a podcast a couple of days ago with a bunch of guys called The Tie. 2 American guys, Henry and Walker, do quite a really cool pod. They actually, topically not dissimilar to this, actually, in terms of its focus, really. And we've been messaging backwards and forwards, for a while. Anyway, on their podcast, I was on there, talking about Cookie Jar and all the great work I've been doing there. And
Not even a joke. It's not even a joke.
And they do this thing called the Dirt at the start of the pod. And the Dirt is DERT. And it's basically, what have you been drinking? What have you been eating? What have you been reading? And what have you been thinking about? Trying to get through that early segment of the podcast in full knowledge of what I'd eaten and drunk in the previous 48 hours was not the easiest time, I must admit. But I think I got through it unscathed.
What do you have to do? Do you have to list out every single spirit?
Yeah, no. It's more sort of like just holistic. So, they'll ask people, "Oh, what are you drinking?" And it'll be like, "Oh, I'm really into my coffee," and they'll talk about their process of making coffee or whatever. Not, this is how I pressed on for 6 hours in a fairly antisocial time of the day at Rye, drinking to excess. And then when I had to talk about what I'd eaten, I was pretty sure that Friday would have been a 10,000 calorie day minimum. I left that pod feeling utterly appalled at myself, if I'm honest. But yeah, great stuff. I think that pod will be out.
Yeah, when do we get to hear that?
I think probably back end of this week. So not 100% certain, but maybe Thursday, Friday. Should be good. I did like a little English tour for them. So they wanted to know what would a tour around England look like, if you were on a bit of a budget. And they were like, "Oh, I'll give you $1,500 for green fees. And we want 7 courses over 5 days." And I was like, guys, $1,500 is just a shitload of money over here. Mm-hmm. You only realize when you start doing this sort of stuff, our concept of value, perhaps maybe with the American market, is slightly different. So I went and did them £140 golf trip, which gave them 5 courses, just as a little bonus. It's doable. It's doable. 140 quid.
What were your courses there? Go on,
must be in the Cotswolds. Must be in the Cotswolds.
You land at Sunningdale Heath and then you go and play the Cotswold Massive. So there's 4 of them out there. But then I was like, well, if I was spending $1,500 on a golf trip, and I had to spend all that money, then I'd have to subject that person to a lot of traveling. So instead, it was like we looked at some cool Heathland tracks, and there's a bit of a links venture in there, but I don't want to spoil it if I'm honest.
No, quite right.
Well, I'm excited.
Go check out the Tie.
Good. Well, yeah, for that, this wants to be a short, sharp. We've always managed to make it 40 minutes, but a short, sharp wrap up of the events coming up. We've got shortly coming in the next month or so is when we're going to start to drip feed out the Netherlands material that's been slowly accumulating on on our computers. We've got lots and lots coming up from that trip that we did back at the back end of October. So please do keep your eyes and ears peeled. I'm sure we'll touch base before those things get released. But
the footage is looking good. The footage is looking really good, Tom. I was looking at the Eindhoven day and just trying to sort of piece some content around that. And I stumbled across the new Elon Musk OpenAI chat GPT tool, which actually I thought was quite impressive. So I asked it to write me 800 words about Eindhoven Chagolf, and I actually gave up on the third sentence when it told me it was designed by Tom Morris. I think the AI engine had started to create a work of fiction at that point. Weird, that stuff, but it's amazingly potent.
There were some quite nice bits about it being a combination of Lynx and Parkland, and I think it did really get a lot wrong, but I think it was probably translating Dutch into English at the same time. So,
but some of it's incredible, isn't it?
I think it just tells you about the health of the game, though. We're in the sort of
we're deeper than the AI.
Yeah, we're in a niche spot that not even Elon Musk's own AI can probe the depths of. Sort of AI has not taken us over and made us redundant quite yet.
If those 800 words were good, though, it had half a chance at one point. But anyway,
give it 6 months.
Tom, you like to close the pod. I'll leave this one to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I will try. Anyway, let's keep your eyes and ears peeled. Until next time.
Adios.
Watch this. No way!